joined by Chairman Kent Conrad of the Budget Committee, the Democrat from North Dakota. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it. I just listened to Speaker Boehner and Leader Reid, and it does not sound like they're talking about the same thing. What do you make of where we are right now? We headed for a shutdown.
Well, I very much hope not. I think from what I've heard, they're very close on a number. And really the big disagreement now are on these riders, these separate policy dictums that have been added to what is basically a dispute over funding levels. And as you know, there's a meeting apparently going on at the White House now. And I remain hopeful there'll be a breakthrough and that more rational, cooler heads will prevail. You've been here before when there have been shutdowns. Does this feel like the same sort of atmosphere? Are we headed for a collision here largely over politics? You know, this is maybe the most disappointing that I've seen in 24 years because, you know, our friends on the other side said they wanted $100 billion of cuts from what the president proposed last year for this year. $100 billion out of a $3.7 trillion budget, so we're talking a very small percentage. The number that I've been told that they are largely in agreement on is $73 billion of the $100 billion they were asking. But now they've added all these separate side issues, abortion, EPA, public broadcasting, as riders, some 65 of them in total, that they say, well, by the way, in addition to the spending cuts, we want these policy disputes decided in this short-term funding bill as well. That is really. Are you all going to have to cave on some of those issues to get a deal? Look, I think there's a willingness to accept some of them, but, you know, that's a very unusual way to conduct the business of the Congress of the United States. Yeah, we're talking about numbers here. You talk $73 billion. It's a big number, billions. But in the big scheme of things, as the Budget Committee Chairman, the fiscal challenges facing the country, put it into perspective. Well, we have a $3.7 trillion budget for this year. We have a $1.6 trillion deficit. To be having all of this time and energy spent on a difference of a handful of billions, while not unimportant, really doesn't deal with the larger question of what are we going to do with a long-term plan to get this country back on track. That's where we ought to be spending our energy and attention. And you've been a member of the Gang of Six, this group of bipartisan lawmakers trying to put the Deficit Commission plan into action. We talked to some of your colleagues about that today. Do you have any level of optimism, that given the fight we're having over this skirmish, that you're going to be successful there? Does this, in fact, open an opportunity for that plan to look more like a compromise? Well, I hope it does, because what we're talking about is $4 trillion of deficit savings, not $10 billion or $12 billion, but $4 trillion. That's where we have to be in a 10-year plan to get America back on track. That's where we ought to be putting our energy. Is the President of the United States, who didn't back his own Deficit Commission plan when it came out, is he stepping to the plate and offering more support for your efforts? Let me just say, in fairness to him, he thought if he would come out and back the Commission plan openly, that the Republicans in the House would then be against it so that we wouldn't get a result. You'll remember that of the 6 members of the commission that came from the president, 5 of his 6 members supported the plan. 5 of the 6 senators supported the plan. 5 of the 6 representatives of the House of Representatives opposed the plan. So it's very clear the problem we've got in the House of Representatives, and hopefully we'll start in the Senate to have a bipartisan, comprehensive plan that gets America back on track. Really quickly, yes or no, you can have a Senate budget by April 15th? I don't know, because it's dependent on the Group of 6 negotiation. I want to give it every chance to succeed. All right. Senator Conrad, appreciate it very much. The Chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, Kent Conrad, joining me here on the Hill. Lisa.